My head felt like 1,000 woodpeckers were trying to drill through my skull simultaneously. I blinked my eyes open, momentarily blinded by a ridiculously ornate crystal chandelier. The room was all gaudy European luxury, the air thick with some expensive aromatherapy I'd never smelled before. A middle-aged man in a bespoke suit, his hair slicked back with a concerning amount of gel, slapped a folder onto the coffee table in front of me. "Ethan, just sign it," he said, his voice dripping with contempt. "Ava has been more than generous. $3 million. Enough for a guy like you to live comfortably for the rest of your life." Ava Sterling. I looked down and saw the words printed in bold at the top of the document. Divorce agreement. Memories flooded back like a tidal wave. Wasn't I just at the NASDAQ, ringing the opening bell? I hadn't slept in 7 days, and my heart had finally given out. A massive coronary. I should be dead. How did I wake up 10 years in the past? Back at the lowest point of my life. A living prop, married into the Sterling family, the wealthiest dynasty in Port Sterling, as a contract husband for their Ice Queen CEO, Ava Sterling. And today was the 1-year anniversary of our marriage, the day our contract expired. In my first life, this was the exact moment. The Sterling's butler, Hanson, humiliated me with a check for $3 million before kicking me out like a stray dog. It was from this moment that I swore I'd make everyone who looked down on me regret it. I clawed my way up, becoming the kind of corporate predator that made Wall Street tremble. But at what cost? I conquered the world and lost the only person who had ever been truly good to me. Ava Sterling, the woman who was a glacier on the outside, but softer than anyone on the inside. When I was at my absolute lowest, she was the one who secretly funded me through an anonymous charity. When my first startup failed and loan sharks were after me, she was the one who pulled strings behind the scenes to make them disappear. And I, blinded by my own pathetic pride, misunderstood her again and again, hurt her again and again, until the years of carrying her family's empire on her shoulders finally caught up. She passed away from illness and exhaustion, 1 year before I reached the pinnacle of my success. All the money in the world couldn't bring her back. And now I was back, looking at the divorce papers, the humiliation and rage I felt the first time were gone. All that remained was a profound sense of relief and pure ecstasy. This was amazing. Thank you, God, for the do-over. This time, I didn't want a business empire. I didn't want to be a billionaire. I just wanted to be a glorious, unapologetic slacker and actually enjoy my life. Most importantly, I wanted to stay far, far away from Ava Sterling. She was an eagle, meant to soar. She shouldn't be dragged down by a nobody like me. This time, I let her live her life, find a man who truly loved her and deserved her, and be happy. Oh, hell yes. I can finally get a divorce. $3 million. That's $3 million. 10 years ago. I can retire on that. Buy a little house outside the city, go fishing every day. This is the life. Old man Hanson might be a snob, but he's quick with the cash. What a guy. 5 stars. With that thought, I grabbed the pen, ready to sign my name with a flourish. But just as the nib was about to touch the paper, a pale, slender hand pressed down on my wrist. The hand was cool to the touch, but steady. I looked up into a pair of icy, emotionless eyes. Ava Sterling. She was exactly as I remembered. A perfectly tailored white power suit, her long hair in a severe bun, her stunningly beautiful face a perfect mask. An unmelting iceberg. "Don't sign it," she said, her voice as cold as her gaze. I froze. Wait, that's not how the script goes. In my past life, she couldn't wait to get rid of me. What gives? She's not letting me sign? Is it the money? Does she think $3 million is too much? No way. The heiress to the Sterling fortune wouldn't care about that pocket change. Oh, I get it. She wants me to walk away with nothing. Wow. Classic 1% move. Cold-blooded. Can't even spare the $3 million. Fine, whatever. I'll leave with nothing. As long as I get divorced, I don't need a dime. My inner monologue was racing, but I put on a look of wounded pride. Ava, I know you look down on me, but you don't have to humiliate me like this. I'll go. I won't take anything, okay? I made a show of dropping the pen, acting for all the world like a man with a broken heart. To my surprise, not only did she not let go, her grip tightened. Her brow furrowed just slightly. At that exact moment, Ava Sterling's mind was experiencing a Category 5 hurricane. A second ago, When Hanson had presented the divorce papers, a little ding had gone off in her head, followed by a cascade of thoughts that were not her own. Oh, hell yes. I can finally get a divorce. $3 million. 10 years ago. The thoughts were delivered in a giddy, almost moronic tone of excitement, as clear as if someone had put a loudspeaker inside her brain. And the source of the voice was her nominal husband, Ethan Vance, sitting right in front of her. Ava had lived for 24 years and had never encountered something so bizarre. She wondered if the stress was finally getting to her, causing auditory hallucinations. But when Ethan went to sign the papers and she instinctively stopped him, the voice came back. What gives? She's not letting me sign? Is it the money? Oh, I get it. She wants me to walk away with nothing. Wow, classic 1% move. Cold-blooded. Ava. She looked at the man before her. His face was a perfect picture of humiliation and grief, an Oscar-worthy performance. But his inner thoughts were like a toddler who just snatched a lollipop. Was this the Ethan she knew? For the past year, he had always been timid and insecure in her presence, so sensitive that a single harsh word could make his eyes well up. But the voice in his head was so energetic and kind of smartass. Ava released his wrist, picked up a cup of coffee from the table, and took a sip, using the motion to hide the shock that was coursing through her. This agreement is void, she said coldly, her eyes flicking to Hanson. Who gave you the authority to do this? Hanson was flabbergasted. Ms. Sterling, wasn't this your intention? Ooh, passing the buck. Smooth. It was obviously her idea, and now that she sees how eager I am, she's changing her mind? Women. Ethan was having a field day in his head, but his face crumpled into a smile that was more painful than a grimace. Ava, don't blame Hanson. I know it's all my fault. I'm not good enough for you. Don't worry, I won't bother you. Ava set her coffee cup down. It made a sharp clink against the saucer. She could hear it. She could really hear his thoughts. This discovery was more shocking than landing a $10 billion deal. She looked at Ethan, her face an unreadable mask. We'll discuss the divorce later. For now, you're staying. With that, she stood up and addressed the stunned butler. Hanson, show Mr. Vance to his room. From now on, he is the man of this house. His wort is my wort. Hanson's jaw nearly hit the floor. I was just as dumbfounded. Are you kidding me? No divorce? Man of the house. Did the Ice Queen take the wrong pills this morning? It's a trap. This has to be some kind of massive conspiracy. What is she planning? Is she going to keep me around to torture me? Gaslight me? Work me like a dog and then kick me to the curb? This is sick. I have to get out of here fast. Ava, who could hear every frantic thought, turned without a word, presenting me with her cold, imperious back. But what no one saw was how tightly she was clenching her fists, her knuckles turning white from the pressure. It seemed this divorce wasn't happening. At least, not until she figured out what in the world had happened to Ethan Vance. Hanson escorted me back to my room. Nominally, we were husband and wife, but for the year we'd been married, we slept in separate rooms. Her bedroom was on the 3rd floor. Mine was on the 2nd. Hanson's expression was a mixture of confusion and disbelief, but he didn't dare disobey Ava's orders. He walked me to my door, hesitated as if to say something, then just sighed and left. I closed the door and collapsed onto the huge, soft bed, letting out a long breath. Well, the divorce is off, but at least I'm not getting kicked out. And man, the beds at the Sterling Mansion beat a flimsy mattress any day. What is Ava up to, though? I can't figure it out. Oh well, whatever. When in Rome, as long as I stick to the plan, be a useless slacker and a professional screw-up, she's bound to get sick of me eventually. I had just settled on my new life strategy. Cause trouble, be an absolute menace, push her buttons until she can't stand it anymore, and throws me out herself. Just as I was gleefully plotting my campaign of self-sabotage, there was a knock at the door. Ethan, bro, it's me, Caleb. A young, arrogant voice drifted through the door. Caleb Sterling, Ava's younger brother. A spoiled trust fund kid. In my past life, he caused me no end of trouble. I got up and opened the door. Caleb was leaning against the doorframe, dangling a Lamborghini key from his finger. He eyed me up and down. Heard my sister didn't divorce you. Not bad, man. What kind of magic trick did you pull on her? I put on my most harmless, folksy smile. Caleb, I have no idea what happened. Magic trick? If I had any magic tricks, you think I'd still be the loser brother-in-law? I'd have her give me half the company by now. Speaking of which, this kid is so cocky right now. He has no idea that the $50 million he just proudly invested is about to go up in smoke. Greenvolution sounds like some high-tech, eco-friendly company, but it's a total shell. Next week, the news is going to break about their fraudulent accounting, and the CEO is going to disappear with all the money. This kid won't even know what hit him. TSK. What a waste of money. I was gloating internally, but on the outside, I just looked timid. Caleb clearly didn't see me as a threat. Thinking he had me figured out, he leaned in closer and lowered his voice. Look, bro, I know you're not exactly a go-getter, but a man needs a career, right? So check it. I'm working on this project, Greenvolution. It's a clean energy company, huge potential. I'll cut you in. You take that $3 million. Oh, wait, you don't have that anymore. Well, you take whatever savings you have, invest it all, and I'll make you rich. I looked at his sincere face and almost burst out laughing. He was treating me like a total sucker. I quickly waved my hands, my face a mask of panic. No, Caleb, I don't have any money, and I don't know anything about investing. Yeah, right, make me rich. More like drag me down with you. If I put my money in that, I'd be joining you on a ledge next week. I don't have your family's safety net. When I jump, it's game over. Idiot, I'm staying far away from you. Don't want to get splattered when the lightning strikes. Seeing my pathetic, good-for-nothing act, Caleb's disdain grew even stronger. Useless, he muttered, rolling his eyes. Whatever. Can't make a silk purse out of sow's ear. By the way, there's a dinner party tonight for Grandpa's 80th birthday. Clean yourself up. Don't embarrass my sister. He turned and swaggered off down the hall. I shut the door and let out a long sigh of relief. A dinner party? Perfect. Time for another command performance of Operation Screw Up. I started whistling happily. Meanwhile, in a master bedroom on the 3rd floor, Ava Sterling sat at her vanity while a makeup artist prepared her for the evening's gala. On the table in front of her was an open listening device. That's right. After deciding to postpone the divorce, she had a bug planted in my room. She quickly discovered it was useless because Ethan's inner voice wasn't bound by physical distance. As long as she was in the mansion, she could hear it crystal clear. She had heard the entire conversation between Ethan and Caleb, including every last bit of Ethan's inner commentary. Greenvolution, fraudulent accounting. She picked up her phone and sent a message to her assistant. I want a full background check on a company called Greenvolution. Everything you can find. I want it in 30 minutes. Putting her phone down, she looked at her reflection. The woman in the mirror was as cool and composed as ever. But only she knew that her mind was no longer calm. This Ethan, was he really a good-for-nothing, or was he a master playing a very long game? How could he possibly know that Greenvolution was about to implode? A coincidence? Or did he have some kind of ability to see the future? Ava's mind was reeling with questions. She felt like she was in a dark room with an elephant, and Ethan was the elephant that no one could quite figure out. The makeup artist asked timidly, Ms. Sterling, for your lipstick. The usual crimson red. Ava snapped out her thoughts. She glanced at the row of powerful, intimidating shades on the vanity. Then, on an impulse, she pointed to a dusty rose color in the corner that she had barely ever used. Use this one today. The artist was surprised, but did as she was told. When the soft, gentle rose replaced the fierce crimson, the woman in the mirror seemed to lose some of her sharp edges, replaced by a softness even she hadn't noticed before. She herself, it seemed, was starting to act a little strange. The Sterling family's gala was a sea of black-tie guests and clinking champagne glasses. As the family's live-in son-in-law, I was naturally the center of attention and ridicule. Hey, isn't that the Sterling son-in-law? Ethan, right? I heard they almost kicked him out today. Shoo, keep your voice down. But seriously, a woman like Ava Sterling, what does she see in him? It was just to bring good luck for the old man when he was sick. Now that Mr. Sterling is healthy again, his time is up. I kept my head down, nursing a glass of champagne in a quiet corner, pretending to be part of the wallpaper. Talk all you want. You're not wrong. As soon as I rack up enough screw-up points and get those divorce papers, you won't even see me again. Wow, this lobster is amazing. Australian? Gotta get my money's worth. And is that beluga caviar? This spoonful alone must be a few $100. Can't let it go to waste. I listened to the gossip with one ear and devoted myself to the buffet with the other, having the time of my life. Ava was wearing a black, off-the-shoulder gown tonight, a diamond necklace sparkling at her throat. She looked like a queen of the night, so regal it was hard to look directly at her. She was surrounded by a circle of business tycoons, handling the conversation with effortless grace. Occasionally, her gaze would drift over to my corner, cool and unreadable. I quickly buried my head in my plate and kept eating. Don't look at me. Don't look at me. I'm just a worthless freeloader stuffing his face. Please don't call me over. I'm socially awkward. I'll say something stupid. I'll embarrass you. The corner of Ava's mouth seemed to twitch ever so slightly. Just then, a spirited old man in a tailored suit, the center of a large entourage, made his entrance. This was the patriarch of the Sterling family, Arthur Sterling. Arthur, happy birthday! To many more years of health and happiness. Caleb pushed his way to the front, proudly presenting an exquisite wooden box. Grandpa, I found this for you. An authentic Ming Dynasty chicken cup. The box opened, revealing a small, delicate porcelain cup. Those in the know gasped. My God, a Qinghuai-era cup. If that's real, it could be worth over 100 million. Caleb, what a thoughtful gift. Arthur Sterling was delighted. He examined it with a magnifying glass, nodding repeatedly. Excellent, excellent. The porcelain is fine. The painting is fluid. It's the real thing. A great-uncle, a dilettante antique collector from a lesser branch of the family, leaned in, his face green with envy. Caleb has really made something of himself, unlike some people who only know how to eat. As he said this, he shot a pointed look in my direction. I was in the middle of spearing a piece of salmon. My hand paused. What are you looking at me for? I'm not eating your food. The real thing? That's hilarious. If this cup is real, I'll eat the whole damn table. Isn't this the work of that legendary forger from the old days? He specialized in fakes that could fool anyone but the top experts. He scammed so many wannabe collectors. The cup cost maybe $100 to make. I bet this idiot Caleb paid tens of millions for it. But I gotta hand it to the forger, his technique is top-notch. Even an old hand like Arthur Sterling was fooled. Too bad, there's a fatal flaw in the chemical agent he used to age it. It can't handle high heat. One splash of boiling water, and the chemical reaction under the glaze will give the whole game away. I was ranting internally while continuing to decimate the buffet. I didn't notice that, from a distance, Ava's hand, holding a wine glass, had paused. Her gaze fell on the chicken cup, a thoughtful expression on her face. Caleb was basking in the praise, throwing me a smug look that screamed, "See? This is the difference between you and me." Just then, a waiter passed by with a pot of freshly boiled water. I don't know who bumped into me, but I stumbled, and my plate went crashing to the floor with a loud clang. Worse, my entire body lurched toward Arthur Sterling's table. Watch out! Amid a chorus of gasps, I perfectly collided with the small table holding the chicken cup. The cup, which Caleb had just hyped to the heavens, wobbled for a second and then fell straight off the edge. I reflexively tried to catch it, but my hand slipped, and I ended up batting it directly into the path of the waiter with a pot of boiling water. Splash! A full pot of scalding water cascaded directly onto the cup. Clink! The cup hit the floor. It didn't break, but everyone heard it. The entire hall went dead silent. Every eye in the room was a dagger aimed straight at me. Caleb's face turned green. He pointed at me, his finger trembling. Ethan, what? What did you do? The great-uncle was apoplectic. You destructive fool. $100 million treasure. And you just. I feigned a look of pure terror, my face draining of all color. I scrambled to pick up the cup, apologizing profusely. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to. Oops, maybe a little too much drama. But hey, mission accomplished. I ruined Grandpa's birthday gift. Now Ava will have to kick me out for sure, right? Plan executed perfectly. I was celebrating inside, but my hand accidentally fumbled the cup again, letting it roll across the floor. That's enough. A single, cold command cut through the chaos, silencing the room. Ava walked over. She looked down at me, her expression unreadable. My heart skipped a beat. Oh crap, she's about to blow. Good. The bigger the scene, the better. Maybe she'll announce our divorce right here and now. I hunched over, bracing myself for the verdict like a cornered animal. But Ava didn't look at me. Instead, she spoke to Caleb. What are you panicking for? It's just a cup. A guest with a sharp, I suddenly made a sound of confusion. Look at the cup. Why has the color changed? Everyone looked closer. The once brightly colored cup, after being doused in hot water, was now mottled and dull. In some places, the glaze had peeled right off, revealing the coarse porcelain underneath. What? What's going on? Arthur Sterling saw it too. He took the cup, and his face fell. The experts who had just been praising the piece were now silent. A true connoisseur stepped forward, examined it closely, and shook his head with a sigh. Alas, this is a modern forgery using chemical aging techniques. When exposed to high heat, the truth is revealed. This cup is a fake. A fake? The room erupted in whispers. Caleb's face cycled through green, white, and red. The $30 million treasure he'd bought was a worthless imitation. The great-uncle stood frozen in embarrassment, wishing the floor would swallow him whole. In an instant, all the attention shifted from me to Caleb. Arthur Sterling, though disappointed, waved his hand. Forget it. Caleb's heart was in the right place. The gift may be fake, but the sentiment was real. The crisis was miraculously resolved. I got up from the floor, brushing myself off, wearing a perfect expression of post-traumatic shock and utter confusion. You gotta be kidding me. That actually worked? Did I just accidentally save Caleb from even greater humiliation? Wait a minute. My goal here is to be a screw-up, not a hero. This isn't how it was supposed to go. As I was stewing in my failed attempt at failure, Ava walked over and handed me a handkerchief. Wipe your face. You've got dust on it. Her voice was flat, but I felt like there was something different in her eyes. I took the handkerchief, keeping my head down, not daring to look at her. What is with this woman today? She's not yelling at me? She's giving me a handkerchief? Did she figure out my plan? No way, that's impossible. Ava listened to his internal monologue, fighting the urge to smile. She quickly turned her back to him. Of course, she knew he hadn't done it on purpose, because the person who had accidentally bumped into him, sending him flying, she'd paid him, and the waiter with a pot of boiling water, she had arranged for him to be there at that exact moment. She just wanted to see if the things Ethan was thinking were real. And now, it seemed they were. Not only were they real, but the result was spectacular. Looking at her crestfallen brother and her mortified great-uncle, and then at Ethan, who was standing beside her looking utterly dejected that his plan had failed. For the first time, Ava Sterling thought that this stuffy, lifeless family had just gotten a little more interesting. After the birthday party fiasco, my status in the Sterling household underwent a subtle shift. At the very least, the staff no longer looked at me with pure disdain. Now, it was mixed with a hint of, awe. I couldn't figure it out. This makes no sense. I was trying to cause a disaster, and instead I came off like some kind of art appraiser. Do I have some kind of reverse Midas touch, where even my attempts to fail turn to gold? I spent 2 days holed up in my room, emerging only for meals, fully committed to my role as a world-class bum. Ava didn't come looking for me. It was as if she'd forgotten I existed. I was perfectly happy with this arrangement. Excellent. Keep this up. Once she loses all interest in me, I'll be a free man. On the third day, I was deep in a dream about playing chess with Abraham Lincoln when a thunderous knocking rattled my door. Hanson was standing in the doorway, his face etched with anxiety. Mr. Vance, Ms. Sterling needs you at the office immediately. I was still half asleep. The office? What for? I don't have a job. There's a major crisis at the company. Please just go. Ms. Sterling is waiting for you in the conference room. Before I could protest, Hanson practically dragged me out of the room. I was shoved into a car and driven at breakneck speed to the Sterling Group headquarters. In the top-floor conference room, the atmosphere was so tense you could cut it with a knife. Ava sat at the head of the table, her expression arctic. On either side of her sat the company's board members and top executives, all of them looking grim. I was ushered to an inconspicuous chair in the far corner. I yawned, half listening to their frantic discussion, and quickly pieced together what was happening. It was simple. The Sterling Group had been played by their main competitor, Harrison Corp. Harrison Corp had leaked false information that they were going to compete with Sterling for a major real estate development on the east side, posturing as if they were willing to spend whatever it took. Ava and the board took the bait, reallocating massive amounts of capital to prepare for a bidding war. But it was a classic bait-and-switch. Harrison Corp's real target was the Sterling Group's most important subsidiary, Innovate Robotics. They had partnered with an overseas hedge fund and, while Sterling's capital was tied up, launched a hostile takeover. Now, Innovate Robotics' stock price had been driven into the ground, and it was on the verge of being seized. If they lost Innovate, the Sterling Group would be crippled, possibly for good. It was a dirty, brilliant move. The Harrisons planned this for months. We were completely blindsided. All our liquid assets are tied up in that East Side property. We can't pull them out in time. Ava, you have to do something. The board members were in an uproar, their accusations subtly pointing at Ava for her strategic blunder. Ava remained silent, her fingers tapping lightly on the table as her cold gaze swept over each person in the room. I sat in my corner, nearly dozing off. Man, what's the big deal? All this shouting. This is the exact playbook the Harrisons used to crush countless rivals in my past life. Same strategy, down to the last comma. This board is useless. They're all smiles when it's time for dividends, but the moment there's a crisis, all they do is squabble. It can't be easy for Ava dragging this dead weight along. The solution is actually pretty simple. The Harrisons' only weakness in this whole operation is that to secure the overseas capital, they had to pledge all the shares of one of their less glamorous subsidiaries, Keystone Construction. All someone has to do right now is find $500 million and quietly buy up those pledged shares on the international market. That would put the Harrisons in a chokehold. Once that's done, you wouldn't even have to do anything. The hedge fund would tear the Harrisons apart for defaulting on their collateral, fighting fire with fire. Anyone can play that game. Too bad none of these guys will think of it. And even if they did, would they have the guts to make the bet? $500 million for a failing construction company? No one would believe it. Whatever. Not my problem. Let the company go bankrupt. If Ava goes broke, she can't afford to keep a useless freeloader like me around. She'll have to divorce me. Then I could take my nest egg and go live my slacker dream. Perfect. The thought made me smile. I quickly shut my eyes and pretended to be asleep. In the entire room, only Ava heard my complete internal analysis. When she heard the words Keystone Construction, her tapping fingers stopped dead. When she heard fighting fire with fire, anyone can play that game. A dangerous glint, one even she didn't recognize, flashed in her cold eyes. And when she heard the final line, let the company go bankrupt, then I can take my nest egg and go live my slacker dream. The hand holding her pen tightened until her knuckles turned white. So that's your game, Ethan Vance. You want me to go bankrupt so you can get your divorce? Not a chance in hell. Quiet. Ava finally spoke. Her voice wasn't loud, but it carried an authority that could not be questioned. The room fell silent instantly. All eyes were on her, waiting for her final decision. Ava stood up, scanned the room, and announced word by word, abandon all efforts to defend Innovate Robotics' stock price. At the same time, I want every available dollar of our reserve funds liquidated immediately. I want to see $500 million in 2 hours. We will use that $500 million to acquire one company, Keystone Construction. Her words hit the room like a bomb. What? She's lost her mind. Ava, you're insane. Her uncle, Andrew Sterling, was the first to object. Ava, this is absurd. Our priority is to save Innovate. Why would you acquire a bankrupt construction company? You're gambling with the entire fate of this corporation. Yes, Ms. Sterling, please reconsider. Keystone Construction has nothing to do with this. The room erupted in protests. The noise woke me up. I blinked my eyes open. Whoa, what's happening? How does she know about Keystone Construction? Don't tell me she's... My head snapped toward Ava, a shocking theory forming in my mind. Is she a reincarnator, too? The thought was so jarring it startled me. No, that can't be it. If she was, she would have kicked me out on day one. Why would she keep me around? And she doesn't act like she knows what's coming. Then how did she know? A lucky guess? Impossible. No one would risk this much on a guess. Wait, is there another time traveler in this room? Who is it? Is one of you guys my fellow reincarnator? I started suspiciously scanning the faces of the board members. The fat one? Unlikely. The shifty-looking one? Probably not. Ava took in everyone's reaction, especially Ethan's, the sleepy-eyed man in the corner who was now darting his eyes around the room, his mind racing. She scoffed internally. Fellow reincarnator, your fellow reincarnator is about to have an aneurysm, thanks to you. She had no time to explain. She invoked her authority as chairwoman. This is an order. not a discussion. CFO, execute it. Anyone else who objects will be removed for obstructing a corporate decision. Without another word, she grabbed her files and strode out of the conference room on her high heels, leaving behind a room full of directors who were convinced she had gone mad. Only I remained in my corner, now wide awake. I stared at her retreating back, my mind a swirling vortex of confusion. What is with this woman? It's like she always knows what I'm thinking. First the chicken cup, now Keystone Construction. Once is a coincidence. Twice, a ridiculous, impossible thought bubbled up from the depths of my mind. Don't tell me. She can actually hear my thoughts. The idea was so absurd, I almost laughed it off. No way. Absolutely not. This isn't some fantasy novel. It has to be a coincidence. It has to be. I must be sleep-deprived. I'm starting to lose it. I shook my head, trying to dislodge the crazy idea. The boardroom was still in chaos. Uncle Andrew's face was purple with rage. He pointed at the door Ava had just left through. It's over. The Sterling family is going to be ruined by that crazy girl. I told you a woman couldn't run a company this large. What we do now? Just sit here and watch her throw $500 million down the drain. Listening to them, my own mind began to clear. Let them whine. A bunch of Monday morning quarterbacks. In a couple of days, when the news breaks that the Harrisons have imploded, I wonder where they'll hide their faces. But I have to admit, Ava's move was brilliant. Gutsy as hell. $500 million. And she didn't even blink. That's the woman Wait, no. That's the Sterling heiress for you. I just don't get how she knew Keystone was the key. Does she have a secret advisor? Muttering to myself, I quietly slipped out of the conference room. A strange mood had settled over the entire Sterling group. The senior executives were in a panic, certain that Ava had lost her mind. The finance department, under a cloud of doom, was grimly pulling together the funds. $500 million. It wouldn't bankrupt the Sterling group, but it was a massive sum. To use that emergency capital to buy a worthless, unrelated company while Innovate Robotics was under attack seemed, to everyone, like corporate suicide. Ava locked herself in her office, refusing to see anyone. She stood before the floor-to-ceiling windows, looking down at the city traffic below. She held a cup of coffee, appearing calm, but only she knew her palms were slick with sweat. She was gambling. She was betting the future of the Sterling Group, and her own career, on the absurd inner thoughts of Ethan Vance being true. Time ticked by, each second an eternity of torment. Her phone buzzed incessantly. Board members, family elders, all calling to question and condemn her decision. She ignored them all, setting her phone to silent. All her focus was on one thing, listening for Ethan's thoughts. She needed to know what he was thinking, what he was doing at this critical moment. But what she heard was, what should I get for lunch? The spicy fish or the chicken and rice? This is tough. The cafeteria here at Sterling is actually pretty good. Way better than the catered stuff at my old firm. I wonder if it'll still be open after the bankruptcy. Whatever. I'm just going to find a couch and take a nap. If the sky falls, the tall people will hold it up. Ava's tall. She can handle it. Ava. She took a deep breath and tightened her grip on the coffee cup. That heartless, infuriating man. The entire company was on the verge of collapse, and he was debating his lunch options. He was worried about the cafeteria closing. She wanted to storm over to wherever he was, grab him by the collar, and ask if his heart was made of stone. But then, a second thought came, and a weary smile touched her lips. Maybe this was the real him. On the surface, he was the useless son-in-law everyone looked down on. But in reality, he had already seen through the entire crisis and identified the only correct solution. It wasn't that he didn't care. He was just supremely confident. So confident that he had already seen the outcome, which made all the chaos and panic seem like nothing more than background noise to him. That quiet, all-knowing confidence was infinitely more powerful than the blustering of the old men in the boardroom. Ava put down her coffee cup, her eyes hardening with renewed determination. No, she wasn't gambling. She was choosing to trust. To trust this man who was her husband in name only. This man she understood less and less with each passing day. And at that very moment, the object of her trust, me, was passed out on a sofa in the employee lounge, snoring my head off. I was exhausted. The last few days since my rebirth had been more stressful than an entire year in my past life. Anyway, if the sky fell, Ava would hold it up. I was just the useless husband. Worrying wasn't in my job description. In my sleep, I dreamed I was back in my old life. I saw Ava in a hospital gown, frail and weak on the bed, her once-icy eyes now dull and lifeless. She looked at me and whispered, "Ethan, don't work so hard. You can't earn all the money in the world." A sharp pain lanced through my chest, and I jolted awake. I sat up, wiping my face, and realized my eyes were wet. Outside, the setting sun had painted the sky in shades of orange and red. I had slept the entire afternoon. I wonder how things are at the office. Should be getting close to a resolution by now, right? I pulled out my phone, instinctively about to check the financial news. Just then, the door to the lounge opened. Ava walked in. She had changed out of her severe power suit and was now wearing a soft, cream-colored knit sweater. Her hair was down, cascading over her shoulders, softening her sharp edges and lending her a gentle, domestic air. Her face showed a trace of exhaustion she couldn't quite hide, but her cold eyes were shining with an incredible light. "You're awake?" she asked. I nodded, feeling a little awkward. "Yeah. How are things at the company?" "What do you think?" she replied, a faint, unreadable smile playing on her lips. Why is she smiling? Is she laughing at me, the loser, for pretending to care about the company? Or is she laughing because the company is about to go under and she's finally free? As my mind raced, Ava's phone rang. She answered it and put it on speaker. On the other end, the CFO's voice was so excited it was practically squeaking. "Ms. Sterling, Ms. Sterling. Huge news. Harrison Corp. Their entire line of credit just collapsed. Just half an hour ago, several Wall Street firms jointly called in their loans. Because we acquired Keystone Construction, it triggered a covenant in their lending agreement. They demanded immediate repayment. Right now, Harrison Corp's stock is in free fall. Their takeover of Innovate Robotics has been completely abandoned. We won. Ms. Sterling, we won." On our end of the line, there was only silence. I stared at Ava, my brain struggling to keep up. "We won, just like that?" Ava listened to my stunned inner monologue, looked at my dumbfounded expression, and finally, a small, genuine laugh escaped her lips. The sound was like a clear spring, crisp and beautiful. In my 2 lifetimes, it was the first time I had ever heard her laugh. I watched the way her eyes crinkled and her lips curved, and for a moment, I was completely mesmerized. When she smiles, she's beautiful. The news of Harrison Corp's collapse hit the Port Sterling business community like a nuke. The corporate giant that had been poised to swallow the Sterling Group whole one day was, overnight, a drowning dog that everyone was eager to kick. And the Sterling Group had pulled off a textbook, one-in-a-million comeback. Ava Sterling, the young CEO, was now a living legend. My uncle Andrew, the one who had been screaming the loudest in the boardroom, was now on the phone with Ava, his voice oozing with sycophantic praise. "Ava, my dear, you are a true genius. Your old uncle was wrong, so wrong. Don't you pay my foolish words any mind." Ava gave him a few curt replies and hung up. Now it was just the 2 of us in her office. The atmosphere was a little strange. I sat on the sofa, not knowing what to do with my hands. So, that's it. We won. Seemed almost too easy. But man, Ava is a total badass. That nerve, that execution. How did I never see it in my past life? I must have been blind. Why would a woman this incredible ever settle for a loser like me? Oh, right. Good luck charm for a sick old man. Well, the crisis is over. She'll probably bring up the divorce again now. I've got to be ready this time. Sign the papers and get out of here fast. Just as I was plotting my escape, Ava spoke. "Ethan." I sat up straight, like a student called on by the teacher. She walked over and stood before me, looking down at me. Her clear eyes seemed to see right through me. "What's your take on all this?" My heart skipped a beat. Here we go. The interrogation. She suspects me. What do I say? If I tell her I knew what was going to happen, I'm exposed. If I say I know nothing, I'll look like an idiot who doesn't deserve. Well, I don't deserve her anyway. Got it. I scratched my head and put on a look of sincere, wide-eyed admiration. "Ava, you were amazing. I don't even know what happened. I just heard everyone saying you made this brilliant decision, and we won. You're incredible." I was laying it on thick, playing the part of the brainless fanboy. Ava watched my terrible acting, a flicker of amusement in her eyes. That look, it wasn't her usual coldness. It was knowing, almost teasing. It made my skin crawl. What does that look mean? Does she know? Does she know I'm faking it? No, she can't. If she knew, she'd have me pinned to the floor demanding answers right now. Stay in character, Ethan. You're a useless bum. Don't break. Is that so? Ava drew out the words. You really think it was all me? She took a step closer. I instinctively leaned back into the sofa. She leaned down, planting her hands on either side of me, trapping me between her and the couch. A faint, pleasant fragrance, her scent, filled my senses. My heart was hammering against my ribs. Whoa, a wall slam. What is she doing? Is this a honey trap? Is she trying to seduce the truth out of me? I, Ethan Vance, have seen it all in 2 lifetimes. I will not be swayed by mere physical attraction. Oh my God, she's gorgeous. That skin, those eyelashes. I can't take it. I'm about to fold. Ava watched my face turn beet red, saw my eyes darting around nervously, and heard the frantic, contradictory monologue in my head. She almost broke character and laughed. This man was a walking sitcom. She suppressed a smile and deliberately lowered her voice, her warm breath tickling my ear. Ethan, tell me, how did you know about Keystone Construction? It was over. She knew. She wasn't guessing. She was calling my bluff. My brain kicked into overdrive, scrambling for a defense. Deny everything. Never admit it. If I admit it, I can't explain how I knew. What's my cover story? I dreamed it? Too stupid. I heard it from someone. Who? Got it. I looked up, meeting her gaze with what I hoped was a look of pure honesty. Ava, the truth is, it was a complete guess. Ava raised an eyebrow, silently telling me to continue my ridiculous story. I swallowed hard and pushed on. In the conference room that day, I fell asleep, and I had a dream. There was this old man with a long white beard, and he told me that buying Keystone Construction would save the company. When I woke up, I heard you announcing the plan, and I thought you had the same dream. As soon as the words left my mouth, I wanted to smack myself. A 3-year-old wouldn't buy that excuse. I'm dead. This is it. She's going to think I'm a lunatic. Divorce. It has to be today. I can't stay around this woman. She's too smart. She'll figure out everything about me sooner or later. To my utter astonishment, Ava didn't get angry. Instead, she straightened up, a thoughtful expression on her face. An old man with a white beard? She repeated, then looked at me with an expression I couldn't decipher. I see. You see. What do you see? I was completely lost. She bought it? She actually bought it. Is this Ice Queen's brain wired differently from normal people? Ava didn't press any further. She just said, you've had a long day. Let's go home. Home. I blinked. Which home? She gave me a look that said, are you an idiot? Our home. With that, she grabbed her car keys and walked out of the office. I trailed behind her like a lost puppy, my mind a complete mess. She didn't mention the divorce. She didn't interrogate me about my secrets. She seemed to have bought my insane, white-bearded old man story. And most importantly, she had said, our home. I looked at her slender, strong back, and for the first time, my resolve to get a divorce wavered, just for a second. This woman, maybe she's not so bad after all. After the Keystone Construction incident, Ava's attitude toward me did a complete 180. If before she was an iceberg, now she was a frozen lake in springtime, still cold on the surface, but you could feel a warm current moving underneath. The most obvious change was that she started managing my life. In the morning, I try to sleep in. Just 5 more minutes. Please. Ava, already dressed in a sharp business suit, will be standing there holding my clothes, her expression flat. You have 10 minutes. I'll be waiting downstairs. Me? The next second, my blankets would be ripped away. In the evening, I'd be sprawled on the couch, eating potato chips and watching some stupid sitcom, laughing like a hyena. Ha ha ha. This main character is hilarious. He's my spirit animal. As I finished the bag and licked the salt off my fingers, ready to open another, a hand would snatch the new bag away. Ava would be standing behind me, frowning. This is junk food. No more. Go take a shower. Me? She's my boss, my landlord, and now my nutritionist? Is she my wife or my mother? But damn, she smells good. Did she just get out of the shower? I took a sneaky sniff and was met with a glare that could freeze fire. The craziest part was when she started getting involved in my career. One day, she came home from work and tossed a black card at me. "What's this?" I asked, wary. "She's being nice for no reason. It's a trap. What is she up to? Is she trying to corrupt me with money? Do I, Ethan Vance, look like the kind of person who can be bought?" "Okay, yes, I am, but I can't take this card. It's definitely got strings attached." "Your allowance," Ava said succinctly. "The pin is your birthday. Stop sitting around the house all day. Find something to do." I held the thin piece of plastic, but it felt heavier than a block of lead. Allowance? A no-limit black card for an allowance? Is this some new, advanced method of fattening a pig for slaughter? Find something to do? My main ambition in life is to do nothing. Is she trying to rob me of my only hobby? I was about to righteously refuse when Ava added, "Or, you could come work at the company. I need an assistant." That sent a jolt of terror through me. I quickly pocketed the card. No, I'll find something to do. An office job isn't for me." Was she kidding? Be her assistant? I'd be under her watch 24/7. None of my inner thoughts would be safe. I had to keep my distance. Ava watched my pathetic, panicked retreat and didn't know whether to be angry or amused. She just wanted an excuse to keep him close. This man was like a mystery box full of treasures, and every day she couldn't resist poking it to see what new surprise would pop out. She was starting to love hearing his thoughts, hearing him roast the old fossils on the board, hearing him analyze the latest economic policies with razor-sharp, insightful commentary, hearing him drool over cooking shows on TV, planning what he wanted to eat the next day. Those lively, funny, and sometimes childish thoughts were like rays of sunshine, piercing through the cold, monotonous 24 years of her life. She even started looking forward to coming home, because at home, there was a man who talked about being a slacker but had the entire world figured out in his head. Armed with Ava's black card, I embarked on my journey to find something to do. First, I went to a nursery and bought a truckload of succulents that were supposed to bring good fortune. I filled the entire sunroom with them. Once I grow these and sell them, that'll be my first big score. I may have a black card, but a man's got to have his own secret stash of cash. Less than 3 days later, because I watered them too enthusiastically, they all drowned. Ava came home from work, stared at the carnage in the sunroom, and was silent for a long time. I braced myself for a lecture, but all she did was sigh, walk over, and poke me in the forehead. "Idiot." The gesture was surprisingly gentle, almost affectionate. I froze. Did she just poke my head? She didn't even yell at me for wasting money. This woman is getting weirder and weirder. Next, I got into fishing. I spent a small fortune on top-of-the-line gear and spent my days by the lake, enjoying the poetic solitude. Of course, I never caught a single fish. One day, after sitting under the hot sun for hours and coming home empty-handed again, I walked in the door to an incredible aroma. On the dining table was a pot of steaming, creamy white fish soup. My mouth started watering instantly. "You're back." Ava emerged from the kitchen, untying her apron. "Wash your hands. Dinner's ready." I looked at her, then at the soup, and asked dumbly, "What's the occasion for fish soup?" Ava didn't say anything, just quietly ladled a bowl for me. I took a sip. It was so delicious, I thought my soul was going to leave my body. Wow, this is amazing. She's a better cook than a 5-star chef. But this flavor seems a little familiar. I kept sipping, trying to place it. Ava watched me, then said casually, "It's made from that big wild carp you bought at the fish market yesterday." Me? I had struck out fishing yesterday, and, too embarrassed to admit it, had secretly bought a fish on the way home and claimed I caught it. How did she know? I hid it so well. Ava elegantly took a sip of her own soup, pretending not to see my horrified expression. Of course she knew. She not only knew the fish was store-bought, she also knew I had rolled it in the dirt a few times to make it look more wild. My inner monologue had told her everything. After dinner, I tried to make a discreet escape to my room. "Stop," Ava called out. I tensed up. Here it comes. Time to pay the piper. She walked up to me and handed me something. A car key. "Starting tomorrow, you're responsible for driving me to and from work," she said. I stared at the key in my hand, completely numb. Assistant chef and now chauffeur. No, bodyguard and driver. What on earth is this woman trying to do? Is it possible that she's falling for me? The thought popped into my head, and I immediately shook it away. Impossible. She's Ava Sterling, the ice queen of Port Sterling. How could she possibly fall for a useless bum like me? It must be my imagination. She's just trying to control me, to keep an eye on me. Yes, that has to be it. I had found a logical explanation, and a wave of relief washed over me. Across from me, Ava, listening to my frantic self-deception, pressed her fingers to her forehead in exasperation. This man was a certified genius in business, so how could he be as dense as a brick when it came to romance? It looked like her path to winning him over was going to be a long one. Becoming Ava's personal driver officially torpedoed my plans for a slacker lifestyle. I was out of the house early and back late, more punctual than a 9 to 5 drone. One day, after dropping Ava at the office, I was about to head to my favorite fishing spot when my phone rang. It was her. "Come up to my office." The tone was not a request. Dejected, I turned the car around and went back to the Sterling Group tower. The moment I stepped into her office, I knew something was wrong. Ava's expression was 3 shades colder than usual. Several department heads stood before her desk, their heads bowed. "What's wrong?" I whispered. Ava ignored me and tossed a file on her desk. "The core data for the new product line has been leaked." Again, my heart sank. I knew exactly what this was about. The mole in the company was at it again. Ugh, it's Uncle Andrew, that old fox. He's still sore after I one-upped him on the Keystone deal. The stubborn old goat is back for more. He's been in bed with the Harrisons for years. In my past life, he was the one who slowly bled the Sterling Group's secrets to its rivals, almost bringing the entire family to ruin. If Ava hadn't been there to perform a miracle, he would have destroyed everything. The proof? It's in the safe in his office. There's an overseas trust document in there. The beneficiary is his mistress and illegitimate child he's hidden abroad. And the source of the funds is all dirty money from the Harrisons. Too bad I can't just say that. How would I explain it? The old man with the white beard told me again. Even I don't believe that anymore. Oh well, let Ava deal with it. It's not like the world's going to end. My inner commentary complete, I was about to find a corner and resume my role as office furniture. But before I could move, Ava spoke. Her voice wasn't loud, but it cut through the tense silence of the office. "Legal audit. You're with me. We're going to the vice chairman's office." "Now." "What?" My head whipped around. I stared at her in disbelief. To Uncle Andrew's office? She knew? Again? The department heads were just as shocked. "Ms. Sterling, we don't have any proof. Raiding a board member's office is against protocol." Ava shot them a cold glance. "If there are consequences, I will take full responsibility." Then her eyes found me. She tilted her chin up slightly. "Ethan, you're coming with us." "Me, huh? What does she want me for? To watch the show? Or does she want me to be a witness?" "Wait, she's acting like she already has the proof. How does she know? Could it be my crazy theory is actually true? Can she really?" I didn't dare finish the thought. I just numbly followed Ava out the door. A whole procession of us marched toward Uncle Andrew's office. Andrew Sterling was enjoying a cup of tea. He was startled by our arrival, then stood up, his face darkening with displeasure. "Ava, what is the meaning of this? Why have you brought all these people to my office?" "Uncle," Ava said, getting straight to the point, "the new product data was leaked. I suspect the leak originated from you. I need you to cooperate and open your safe for an inspection." The color drained from Andrew's face. He quickly composed himself and slammed his hand on the desk. "Absurd. Ava, don't think one successful deal gives you the right to do whatever you want in this company. I am your elder, and I am a director. You have no right to investigate me." "I have the right because I am the chairwoman of the Sterling Group," Ava retorted, her presence completely overpowering his. "And also because of what Ethan heard." Suddenly, all eyes were on me. Andrew's beady eyes fixed on me like a snake. "Ethan? He's a good-for-nothing. What could he possibly hear?" My knees felt weak. "Lady, you are throwing me under the bus." "What did I hear? I was just thinking to myself. She's forcing me to pick a side. That's it. I'm officially roped into her schemes." I looked into Ava's cold, clear eyes. She seemed to be telling me with her gaze, "Stop acting." "I know." I gritted my teeth. To hell with it. If she already knew, I might as well go all in. I took a step forward, straightened my back just like Ava, and looked Andrew in the eye. I cleared my throat. "Uncle, you know what they say? The truth will out." That overseas trust document in your safe. The one for a woman named Lillian. I don't think it would hold up well under scrutiny, would it? The moment I said the name Lillian, the last bit of composure on Andrew's face crumbled. He pointed at me, his lips trembling, unable to form a single word. You. Everyone in the room was stunned. They looked from me to Andrew, their faces a mixture of shock and morbid curiosity. How could a worthless son-in-law know the deepest, darkest secret of the company's second-in-command? A tiny, almost invisible smile touched Ava's lips. She knew he wouldn't let her down. It seems Ethan wasn't lying, Ava said, waving a hand at the legal and security teams behind her. Open the safe. You wouldn't dare? Andrew shrieked, lunging forward like a cornered animal. But it was too late. The professional locksmith had the safe open in seconds. A single file lay inside. The head of legal picked it up. His face went pale. Ms. Sterling, it's true. The beneficiary is Lillian Chun. The funding source matches an offshore shell corporation belonging to the Harrisons. He was caught red-handed. Andrew collapsed into his chair, his face ashen. The dramatic corporate spy hunt was over. The car ride back was silent. I drove, my palms slick with sweat. That was intense. More intense than managing $1 billion fund in my past life. But this woman, Ava, she played me like a fiddle. She must have known about my future sight for a while now. Today was just a setup to force my hand. She's a mastermind. A terrifying mastermind. Does this mean I have no secrets from her at all now? This is bad. I need to find a way to test her, to see if she can really hear what I'm thinking. Just as I was devising my counterintelligence plan, Ava spoke from the passenger seat. Tonight, you're moving into my room. Screech. I slammed on the brakes, nearly sending myself through the windshield. I whipped my head around and stared at her like she was an alien. What did you just say? Moving in together? Already? I'm not ready for this. What is she planning? Is this for total surveillance? Or does she have other intentions? Help. I'm just a simple man who wants to be a slacker. Ava watched my panicked expression, listened to my internal screaming, and added coolly, my bed is big. You can have half. In the end, I didn't move into Ava's room. After a barrage of protests about how I snore, grind my teeth, and talk in my sleep, and an internal monologue that screamed, this is inappropriate. We have a contract, and you're trying to seduce me. Ava finally relented. She shot me a cold look, muttered, pathetic, and went upstairs alone. I let out a breath I didn't realize I'd been holding, feeling like I'd just survived a near-death experience. That was close. Almost lost my virtue. Wait, I'm a guy. That doesn't make sense. But still, if I had moved in, I definitely would have lost control. She's so beautiful. Get a grip, Ethan. Remember your goal, divorce and freedom. I slapped my cheeks, trying to force myself to calm down. But the suspicion that she could hear my thoughts was now a nail hammered deep into my brain. I had to be sure. The next morning, I was driving Ava to work. In the car, I started my little performance. What a beautiful day. Not a cloud in the sky. After I drop off the boss, I think I'll head over to that new mall, the Promenade. I heard the Uniqlo, there is having a sale. I could use some new t-shirts. I glanced at Ava in the rearview mirror. She was sitting in the back, reading a file, her expression as blank as ever. No reaction? Was my hint not obvious enough? I continued the mental broadcast. Yeah, and I'll have lunch at the mall. There's a new sushi place called Sankai. I heard their salmon is super fresh. It's a bit pricey, like $500 a person. But hey, I've got the black card. Who cares? Ava kept reading, not even looking up. Still nothing? Maybe I was wrong all along. When we got to the office, Ava got out of the car. Just before she closed the door, she paused and said, I have a meeting this afternoon that will probably run late. You can go to your own thing. Don't wait for me. Oh, okay, I nodded. As I watched her walk into the building, my uncertainty grew. What did that mean? Was that a green light for me to go play? Or was she just telling me her schedule? Whatever. I'm going to the mall. I hit the gas and headed for the Promenade. I browsed Uniqlo, bought a few shirts on sale, and felt pretty good. When lunchtime came, I found myself standing in front of Sankai, the sushi restaurant. I hesitated. Should I go in? What if she finds out? Will she think I'm wasting her money? But I really want sushi. As I was debating with myself, my phone buzzed. It was a text from Ava. It contained a picture and one sentence. The picture was of her lunch at her desk. a simple salad, and a sandwich. The sentence read, "Eat less raw food. It's bad for your stomach." I stood there on the sidewalk, phone in hand, and felt the hair on the back of my neck stand up. She knew. She actually knew. Every single thing I'd thought in the car this morning, she had heard it all. That's why she said she had a meeting to give me free time. And that's why she sent the text to warn me about the sushi. This wasn't a coincidence. This was proof. I felt like I was running naked through the internet, and Ava was the system admin with full access, watching my every move. Well, I'm screwed. There are no more secrets. Dejected, I turned away from the fancy restaurant and found a cheap noodle shop down the street. This is unsustainable, I thought miserably as I slurped my noodles. I have to do it. I have to confront her. I have to ask her to her face what the hell is going on. I finished my noodles, jumped back in the car, and sped toward the Sterling Group headquarters. I stormed into the building like a man on a mission and shot up to the top floor. I threw open her office door. Ava Sterling. She was sitting behind her desk. She looked up when I burst in, raising an eyebrow. "What's wrong? You seem to be in a hurry." I marched up to her desk, slammed my hands down, and stared her straight in the eye. Can you hear what I'm thinking?" I'd finally said it. The air in the room seemed to solidify. Ava looked at me. She didn't confirm or deny it. Her gaze was perfectly calm, which only made me more frantic. She slowly put down her pen, leaned back in her chair, and folded her hands on her desk. She studied me for a long, silent moment. After what felt like an eternity, she answered my question with a question. "What do you think, Ethan?" She paused, then deliberately twisted a detail. "Didn't you say you were just going to buy some sale t-shirts? Where exactly were you planning on getting the money for $500 sushi? Your secret stash?" Boom. My brain went completely blank. She didn't just know what I was thinking. She knew what I was pretending to think and what I was actually thinking underneath. She even knew about my pathetic plan to build up a secret fund. I was utterly, completely defeated. I collapsed into the chair opposite her like a deflated balloon, all the fight gone out of me. Ava watched me, and the amusement in her eyes finally broke through her icy facade. She decided it was time for the next step. She wanted to know what else was hiding in this man's head, besides sarcastic commentary and state-of-the-art business strategies. Specifically, what he thought about her. "Ethan," she tapped her desk, getting my attention. "Since you know, I think it's time we had a proper talk." "Talk about what?" I asked, my voice weak. "How to install a signal jammer in my brain." "About us." Ava's expression was, for the first time, completely serious. "Why are you pretending to be a failure? You obviously have the mind of a genius. Why are you willing to be a laughingstock, a live-in son-in-law? And why are you so desperate to divorce me?" Her three questions were like three daggers aimed straight at my heart. I was silent. I couldn't answer them, because the answers were tangled up with my deepest secret and my deepest guilt. I didn't know how to answer Ava's questions. Was I supposed to tell her I was from the future? That I had watched her die because of me? She wouldn't believe me. She'd think I was insane. I chose silence, becoming a stubborn, unmoving stone. Ava seemed to expect this. She didn't press me further, just watched me quietly. The office was filled with the sound of our breathing, heavy and oppressive. After that night, a strange sort of cold war began between us. She stopped trying to manage my life, and I made a point of staying out of her way. I still drove her to and from work, but then I'd make myself scarce. I didn't dare let my mind wander anymore. I tried to keep my brain empty, like a true vegetable. I knew I had no secrets from her. The feeling was suffocating. Then, one night, I had a nightmare. I was back in my first life. In the dream, the Sterling Group was on the brink of collapse, all because of me. Investors were pulling out, banks were calling in loans, our competitors were circling like vultures. To save her family's company, Ava worked day and night, begging for help from everyone she knew. I saw her, the proud, untouchable woman, forcing herself to drink with a disgusting, leering old man just to secure a small bridge loan. I saw her collapse from exhaustion in her office after being awake for 3 straight days. I saw her in a cold hospital bed, so thin she was almost skeletal. She held my hand, still trying to comfort me. "Ethan, don't be sad. I don't regret it. Promise me, you'll live a good life." "No, don't. I'm sorry. Ava, I'm so sorry." I was screaming in my sleep, thrashing, my heart feeling like it was being crushed. It's all my fault. I never should have dragged you into this. If I could do it all over again, I swear, I'd never even enter your life. I'm sorry, Ava. I cried out and woke with a jolt. My face was wet and cold. I sat up, gasping for air, my heart pounding. The room was dark, save for the pale moonlight filtering through the window. I wiped my face and realized I had been crying for real. Just then, I sensed someone else in the room. My head snapped to the side. In the moonlight, I could see a figure standing silently by my bed. It was Ava. She was just standing there, perfectly still, like a statue. I couldn't see her expression, but I could feel her eyes on me. My blood ran cold. When did she come in? How long had she been standing there? The things I had just said in my sleep. Had she heard all of it? It's over. Those were the only words in my head. The one secret I never wanted her to know was out, revealed in the most pathetic way imaginable. A tiny, almost imperceptible sob cut through the silence. I stared. Then I saw a single, glistening tear trace a path down her cheek and disappear into the dark carpet. She was crying. Ava Sterling, the eternally strong, eternally cold Ava Sterling, was crying. I was completely stunned, paralyzed, with no idea what to say or do. So, she finally spoke, her voice trembling and hoarse. So that's why. It's not that you don't care, or that you want to be a slacker. You're just afraid of hurting me. So all those times you acted out, all those times you wanted a divorce, it was all just push me away. With each question, she took a step closer. In the moonlight, her eyes shone like two stars washed clean by tears. They were no longer cold or distant. They were filled with a complex storm of emotions I couldn't name. There was pain, relief, and something else that made my heart race. I opened my mouth, but no sound came out. She was at my bedside now. She slowly knelt down, looking up at me. Ethan, she reached out her hand. Her fingertips, cool but incredibly soft, gently brushed the tear tracks from my face. You idiot. Her voice was thick with emotion. In that moment, I felt the hard shell around my heart crack. Then it shattered into a million pieces. After that night, the unspoken truth between Ava and me was finally out in the open. Neither of us ever mentioned words like reincarnation or mind reading, but we both knew. I knew that she knew my secret, and she knew that I knew she knew. It created a strange, unspoken harmony between us. I stopped trying to be a slacker. I stopped talking about divorce. I knew Ava would never let me go, and she, in turn, began to involve herself in my life in a completely new way. I was bored and decided to play the stock market. Drawing on my past life's knowledge, I knew about a worthless stock called EC Energy that was about to skyrocket a few %, thanks to a new government policy. I decided to use the black card Ava gave me to buy a small stake and earn a little pocket money. I'll just put in $1 million to start. Once it moons, I'll have enough to buy that top-of-the-line fishing rod I've been eyeing. I was gleefully making the trade on my laptop. The next morning, I opened my stock app and stared in disbelief. EC Energy stock had, overnight, shot up and hit its circuit breaker 10 times in a row. The buy orders were backed up by a sum of money so large I couldn't even count the zeros. The rocket had left the launch pad before I even got on board. What the hell? Who does that? They bought up the whole damn float. How is anyone else supposed to play? I was furious. That evening, Ava came home and saw me sulking. She asked, feigning ignorance, what's wrong? Did a big fish get away? Worse than that, I mumbled. The stock I was watching went to the moon before I could buy any. Oh, Ava said, as if it were a casual thought. You mean EC Energy? My head snapped up. How did you know? She pulled a folder from her briefcase and handed it to me. Because I'm the one who bought it. I opened the folder. It was a share acquisition agreement. The Sterling Group had, in a single, decisive move, acquired EC Energy in its entirety. Me? I looked at her, my entire worldview shifting once again. Is that even legal? I just want to make a little spending money. And she went and bought the whole company. Is this the difference between a pay-to-win player and a free-to-play grinder? She's insane. A total maniac. I knew it would go up, but a full acquisition is incredibly risky. Ava, seemingly deaf to my internal screaming, said calmly, if you thought it was a good investment, then it has value. Why let someone else profit when we can do it ourselves? She paused, then added, "When the deal closes, I'll buy you a whole room full of fishing rods." I was speechless, and this wasn't a one-time thing. I wanted to invest in a barren plot of land in the suburbs, planning to wait for the city to expand and then cash in as a rich landlord. This land is cheap now, 10 million tops. In 10 years, they'll build a subway station here, and it'll be worth 100 times that. I'll be a billionaire. The next day, I went to scout the location, only to find it already cleared with a giant sign that read, "Future site of the Sterling Group Cultural and Recreational Complex." I wanted to invest in a struggling video game studio because I knew the game they were developing would become a global phenomenon. They just need $5 million in seed money. It's the perfect opportunity. Before I could even contact them, I saw a news alert. Sterling Group announces formation of gaming division, acquires Dreamweaver Studios. After a few more incidents like this, I gave up completely. I could now play Ava. I was like a player with a cheat code that let me see the future, but she was the game master who could see my screen and had an infinite bank account. No matter what I tried to do, she was always one step ahead, co-opting my plans in a more extravagant, more aggressive fashion. And then, she would give me all the credit. At the company, everyone now whispered that the only reason Ms. Sterling made such divinely inspired decisions was because she had a genius husband guiding her from behind the scenes. Ethan Vance had transformed from the worthless son-in-law into the Sterling Group's shadow strategist and hidden mastermind. Caleb, the spoiled brat, now followed me around with a look of pure, unadulterated worship. He even carried a little notebook to jot down my pearls of wisdom. If I said, "Nice weather today," he'd write, "Brother-in-law indicates market outlook is sunny. Go all in." If I said, "My noodles at lunch were a little salty," he'd write, "Brother-in-law warns of instability in commodity markets. Exercise caution." Me? I felt like I was losing my mind. That night, I finally snapped. I cornered Ava in her study. "Ava Sterling, what exactly is your endgame here?" She was looking over a report. She glanced up, her clear eyes meeting mine. "I'm helping you achieve financial freedom. Isn't that what you want?" "The hell it is." I fumed. "You keep taking all my brilliant ideas. What am I supposed to do?" "Walk the golden path I'm paving for you," she said, as if it were the most obvious thing in the world. I was so stunned I couldn't speak. This woman is getting Bossier by the day. But why do I find that kind of hot? No, Ethan. Where's your pride? You wanted freedom, remember? Ava watched the storm of emotions on my face and listened to the fierce debate in my head. A smile played on her lips. She put down her file, stood up, and walked over to me. "Ethan, stop trying to run away." Her voice, for once, was soft. "In the last life, you were the one protecting me, shielding me from the storm." She reached out and gently cupped my face. "This time," she said, "it's my turn. All you have to do is stay by my side and be the happiest, most spoiled failure in the entire world." My heart skipped a beat. I gave up. Or maybe I had never really wanted to fight her in the first place. Ava had woven a gentle net around me, and I had, willingly, walked right into it. The days flew by. With our combined talents, the Sterling Group expanded at a terrifying pace. All the game-changing industries and investments that billionaires had fought over in my past life were now just another part of our portfolio. I became the greatest mystery in Port Sterling. No one knew where I came from, only that the Sterling's once useless son-in-law had the Midas touch. And Ava, she changed too. She was no longer an unapproachable iceberg. She would sigh in exasperation when I refused to get out of bed, glare at me playfully when she caught me sneaking snacks, and laugh out loud at my stupid jokes. She smiled more and more. I knew that the girl who had been crushed under the weight of her family's legacy in our past life was finally living for herself. And I was happy. But there was one thing that still bothered me. Our relationship. We acted like a couple. We slept in the same bed, though with a demilitarized zone the width of an arm between us. We ate together, took walks together, but neither of us had ever said the words. I was too scared. The shadow of our past was too long. I was terrified that getting closer to her would only bring her pain again, and she, it seemed, was waiting for me to make the first move. Today was Arthur Sterling's 81st birthday. Unlike the year before, I wasn't hiding in a corner being mocked. I was at the main table, seated right next to Ava. Every guest who came to offer their congratulations would first bow respectfully and address me as Mr. Vance. Caleb trailed me like a loyal puppy. Ethan, bro, what do you think of the new project from the Wong family? I listened to you, I didn't invest. Bro, Mr. Zhang toasted you, and you only took a small sip. Was that a sign that he's not to be trusted? I was getting a headache. This kid is a lost cause. He's been completely brainwashed. I made an excuse and slipped out onto the balcony for some fresh air. Ava followed me. She was wearing a wine-red evening gown that made her skin look like porcelain. She was breathtaking. Not used to it, she asked. I leaned against the railing, looking down at the lights in the garden. A little. Then what kind of life do you want? I was quiet for a moment. I want a small house by the sea. I'd go fishing, grow some flowers, and I'd have someone with me to watch the sunrise and sunset. After I said it, I felt a knot of anxiety in my stomach. Was that a confession? What will she think? Will she think I'm being greedy? Ava listened quietly. After a long moment, she spoke, her voice soft. I already bought the house by the sea. I've also ordered a full set of your favorite brand of fishing rods. And the garden is filled with the blue hydrangeas you said you liked. She turned to face me. The moonlight danced in her eyes, creating a galaxy of soft, shimmering light. All that's missing now is for the person I'm going to watch the sunrises with to say yes. My heart began to pound against my ribs. I looked at her, at the clear reflection of my own stunned, foolish face in her eyes. All my hesitation, all my fear vanished in that instant. To hell with my past life. To hell with the shadows. In this life, all I wanted was the woman standing in front of me. I took a deep breath and finally found the courage to ask the question I'd been wanting to ask and dreading to ask for so long. Ava Sterling, I said, looking her straight in the eye. Do you like me? The moment the words were out, I felt drained. I waited for her answer like a man waiting for a verdict. Ava looked at my nervous face and listened to my inner monologue screaming, say yes. Why isn't she saying anything? Is she going to reject me? Oh God, I can't breathe. And then she smiled. It was a smile like the first thaw of spring, like a field of flowers bursting into bloom. It was the most beautiful thing I'd seen in 2 lifetimes. She didn't answer directly. Instead, she asked me, Ethan, are you a psychic? I blinked confused. She continued, because if not, how did you know that I've liked you for so long? As I stared at her, she reached into her clutch and pulled something out. It was an old, slightly faded photograph. The picture was of a young man in a worn-out college sweatshirt, standing in front of the campus gate, smiling brightly at the camera. The young man was me, more than 10 years ago. On the back of the photo, written in elegant script, were a few words. The first time I saw Ethan, I was a goner. I held the photo, completely frozen. So, she didn't marry me just for good luck. So, long before we ever officially met, she already. I looked up at her, my mind reeling. Ava, done with all pretenses, gave me a brilliant, triumphant, and slightly smug smile. End.